it's time to welcome our guest of the night, the man of the hour, and one day I hope this man makes me a drink minus the fire. Let's welcome, you might know him from Bar Rescue. He's the mixologist extraordinaire, and he's known as Russell Davis. What's going on, Russell?
Pretty good. I'm doing good. Apparently I'm the elusive Russell Davis. My apologies for last time. I got wrapped up in a missed plane ride. So,
hey, it happens, and you're not the first, and you won't be the last. So,
well, thank you, gentlemen. I can't appreciate you enough for having me on. I'm honored.
Hey, you know something that when we talked today this afternoon, and I got really excited. I was like, yes, like this dude gets it. You were like, all right, well, let's not talk. Let's keep everything fresh for tonight. So I'll talk to you tonight. And I was like, yes. I don't like when people are like, well, what kind of questions are you going to ask? I'm like, I'm not telling you. Like, you'll find out.
Yeah.
Like, I want fresh, honest answers. I don't want no prepared stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And, I'm one of these guys that, doesn't like being produced, and I love just jumping in, and I feel like also getting to know each other,
Absolutely. That's what makes it all fun.
Absolutely, dude.
Cool. So, all right, so you are Mr. Mixologist. You were Bartender of the Year, was it 2012?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Such an interesting word, too, mixologist. It's just kind of gone through its own little revolution, and then people fighting back to it, whether you call themselves a mixologist or a bartender, and then everybody, coming back and wanting to be bartenders and not mixologists. So it's just an interesting word to see what it's kind of gone through in the past 5 years. But yeah, I bartended for many, many years, from 2002 on, and 2010, I got ranked. I started doing essentially the mixology, getting into the mixology movement, and luckily was able to take what I had learned in these speed, high volume bars, and nightclubs, and all sorts of things, and apply it to this new craft that was going through revolution, and was lucky to be ranked the top 3 with the Nightclub and Bar Awards in 2010 and 2011. Got moved out to San Francisco from Austin, Texas at that point. And then luckily got ranked number 1 Bartender of the Year. At the same time that I was at a bar called Rick House where, we had some very strong bartenders who led the staff to win top high-volume cocktail bar at the Cocktail of New Orleans, which is an international award. So it was really nice. Yeah, it was just a culmination, snowball, and it was really cool, man. It was real cool.
Now, when you got involved in bartending, did you just start as a person all right, I'm just going to do this as extra money? I'm not expecting it to turn into what it did.
It's kind of weird. I always had this weird intrigue with it. I grew up in a dry county in East Texas, in the middle of the Bible Belt. And so even bars and alcohol were very, they were looked on as sins, and
wow.
Not necessarily by my family, but just where I grew up culturally.
Right.
So bars were that place that you would drive by when you're going to Houston or going to Dallas or going to those cities that were the bigger cities, And luckily, my mom's side of the family are Hispanic. I'm half Mexican. A lot of people don't realize that because I'm very pale-skinned, and my name is Russell Sterling Davis. But they owned a small little chain of Mexican food restaurants in Houston, Texas, and so when we used to call Molina's, incidentally, which has been around since 1942, opened up with my great-grandfather, but when the family used to get together, all the young cousins would sit at the bar when the family would go sit at the table and get drunk. And we would sit at the bar, and all these bartenders would make us, virgin daiquiris and virgin margaritas, and have fun with us and throw bottles around and do all the kind of stuff that was really cool. So there's this intrigue. And I remember my first girlfriend showing me the movie Cocktail, and I just loved it. And when I went to college at the University of Texas, I was saying that I was going to school for theater and dance. but I was making sure that I was getting a job as bartender, and slowly but surely the studies went away from college and to sitting in my dorm room and practicing all the tricks from cocktail with a VHS player, you know. So I kind of feel like I almost manifested it in a way. But yeah, I was never meant to, but at the same time I feel like I was meant to. Does that make sense?
Now, you know, it's funny because, like, whenever I think of bartenders, like, I think of, like, I just remember years ago always seeing, like, in the want ad sections of, like, the local newspapers was, you'd see the little ads, become a bartender in 2 weeks. And I would always think to myself, how the hell do you learn all that stuff in 2 weeks? Like, how is that possible?
A red snapper, kamikaze, Long Island iced tea, the 1-800-BARTEND.
right.
I can still remember the song. That's the song that would play all over the South. Yeah, and those ads are everywhere. And, you know, which is unfortunate because it became, the bartending school was almost like a hustle.
Right.
And you would have all these people pay hundreds of dollars because this beauty and this mystic like profession just became so just glorified, you know, in this wild rock star way. And people wanted to do that. And it was a trait that people that didn't have a lot of school or education or nothing could get into. You know, single mothers could do it. You know, anybody could do it. And, you know, a lot of people, all these bartending schools, they weren't really teaching them anything. They were just taking their money. And next thing you know, you'd have a person that didn't have a lot of money anyway who paid $600 to go to bartending school, you know, dedicate themselves and then get dumped out onto the job scene. And because the schools were so bad, people wouldn't hire them.
Right.
Incidentally, even because they were almost going to bartending school as a death sentence for it. So now it's interesting because bartending schools are very much fighting against that, and now we see that revolution going on. But it was very, very tough with that for a while. So it's interesting that you bring that up because that was literally like in the midst of it all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, you said something right there, and it was something I wanted to ask you too. And to me, it seems like nowadays, you mentioned bartenders are like rock stars, and it really seems that way nowadays with, you know, all the different TV shows that guys with your skills get on, and guys and girls, I should say. And it's like now today the rock stars are your quote-unquote mixologist and these chefs that are being pumped out of these shows. And I was just like, they're becoming the true rock stars. Like, musicians aren't even rock stars anymore. It's these guys.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I always thought that the bartender was a rock star. You know, and if you even look at it historically, you know, back in the early to mid 1800s, one of the first most famous bartenders was named Jerry Thomas. And back then, it wasn't bands that were spinning around the country to these events. It was these bartenders. And these guys would wear these gold cuffs and literally just pour flames in front of people. And they were brought around to presidential inaugurations and state fairs and literally just shipped around. And Prohibition kind of ended that for that really rock star fashion and made everybody criminals. And it took a while for that to kind of come back, and it made a resurgence in the 80s, and especially with Cocktail and then the Rainbow Room with Dale DeGroff opening it up and really creating a great cocktail program. But then, you know, it kind of went through that, like, sex, drugs, and rock and roll period where everybody got, like, too hard with it and bartenders would look like bad people. And, yeah, now it's come again with that renaissance, but even in a harder push because there is social media, there is TV networks getting behind us, there is the magazines doing articles on us, and so now we even have the possibility to get our faces out there, and it's really cool to see. And then, you know, it's kind of weird for like guys like me who, you know, a lot of people don't realize I haven't actually stepped behind the bar in 3 years, and you know, now I'm more that veteran, and I'm so like out of practice now that I couldn't live up to these guys. but I still like miss like that rock star attitude of walking behind the bar and having everybody scream your name and just rocking out, you know. Because I want to look at some of these young bucks as I'm walking by them and just, you know, that. And just be like, you know, don't waste this. You better have fun with it. Better than a cubicle.
Is there like bartender groupies?
Oh yeah. It's that's kind of funny you would say that. I literally have a group of very dedicated fans who have started a fan club online right now. But I'm just so honored, and I'm just like. So shocked by it too, you know. But at the same time, I mean, that's what we have to realize we're becoming for people, and there's a certain amount of responsibility in that. And I try not to forget that. I always do great things with it, but you know, I'm still a bartender. So you might want to keep me away from the groupies, you know.
Now, how about that? What was it? The Tom Cruise movie, Cocktail. Was that any influence on your career?
Oh man, all the way. I mean, that was the. You know, I always wanted to be like Tom Cruise. I wanted to be Flanagan. And then you read the book, and the book is like this insight into this great 1980s bar scene, and Flanagan is not a good guy. And so it's kind of interesting when you compare the two together. And I like to think that I kind of land in maybe the middle of that, you know, and definitely. I mean, I would sit in my dorm room with Cocktail and the VHS player and just practice my throwing every trick in slow-mo on Cocktail until my RA would come and ask me to stop because I was getting so many complaints for dropping so many bottles. The neighbors down below would call and complain. And so, it was definitely an inspiration, and still is to this day. And I've been trying to do some business in that arena, and just absolutely love what Haywood Gould did in writing the screenplay and also writing the book. So,
wow,
yeah,
that's awesome. That's good stuff. Now, how about hooking up with John Taffer for the show? Like, did you know John before you got hooked up with the show, or?
Yeah, I mean, John and I, you know, everybody's known John Taffer for a while in the industry, but you know, he was the head of the Nightclub Bar Awards, and so when I did win Bartender of the Year, he'd asked me to come on, and you know, of course, I said yes, and it wasn't too far later that. Spike was, Metal Flowers Media, which is the casting company, was calling me and asked me to talk to him, and went on the show. And so it was kind of fun. Incidentally, what's kind of funny about that is the first season when I got my first national rank, but not Bartender of the Year yet, I tried out and didn't make it. So I got to come back and get a little bit of retribution on that.
Oh, that's funny. Now, how much did like your career change from being on the show? Like, did it skyrocket or?
You know, it's very interesting. You know, it depends, I guess, what you would define skyrocket. It definitely changed the dynamics of the playing field. You know, I had a consulting company and was doing really well with it on a different level. But when Bar Rescue happened, it very much put that into the limelight, and so I started getting a lot more of that coming. I mean, it's to the point where I'm like, I would get recognized in public a little bit more often than I was realizing I would. And so it's interesting because it definitely took it to another level. And a different level, but it's weird because I've always wondered, had I not done it, what direction that other level would have been. It's been just total different playing field. But totally thankful for what happened because it's opened up some doors that would never have been opened before, you know.
Yeah, it's like when you get on TV, it's just like it just changes everything.
No, it's a slippery slope, you know, and I'm like the awkward famous. So like I'll walk through like a lot of people watch the show, so it's awesome. But like I'll walk through like a restaurant and I'm like, everybody's like trying to figure out where they know you from, or some people don't know where the fuck, don't even give a fuck,
Right.
And so yeah, I get the question I get asked a lot is, did we go to high school together? I'm like, no.
Oh boy, that's a weird one.
And then there's the opposite of it. Is sometimes people just walk up to me and like, you're Russell Davis, and I'm like, holy shit. Pardon me, I don't know my French, by the way.
You can say whatever you want.
That's awesome.
That's got to be mind blowing now.
Oh yeah, and I very much step back and think like, you're just a bartender. You're still just a bartender. Don't ever try to forget that, Russell Davis.
Now, Bar Rescue is one of my favorite shows. I mean, it's
awesome.
Every time I watch that show,
thanks for this.
I literally I sit there with my mouth open in disbelief, and every week I'm just like, I don't understand, like how it's scary, like.
Mm-hmm.
When you guys walk into these bars, the situation and the state of these bars, and you're just like, wow. I mean, from somebody from your level, from John's level, when you guys are walking in there, your heads must just freaking spin.
Yeah. It's sometimes really tough because sometimes you do lose faith in a sense of humanity for a second. But then at the same time, you compartmentalize that differently. I think John has his way of doing it. I have my way of doing it. And just realize what the end goal is, and if they're good people that deserve it, we want them to have a great business.
Right.
Yeah. And to me, that's what's the great part about what we were doing on the show. And I say we were because I am no longer with the show to pursue other projects. But it's weird too, because a lot of people would come up to you and ask you, well, what is the percentage rate of failing to non-fail? And the percentage rates were always great. But to me, there's a quote that said, basically said that if you make one life easier if you make one life breathe easier, you've literally made yourself successful on that level. So even if we, or even myself, had helped one bar, we did some kind of change, and that's all that matters to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, when you guys are going into these bars, and it's almost the same thing every time. When it comes to the bar, the point of view, from your point of view, where you got to work with the bartenders, it's almost like none of them are ever trained at all.
Yeah, and that's probably what it is. And also, it's just unfortunate because, what we were talking about with the bartending school is also did resonate in bars for many years that people were trained or mistrained,
Right.
I've had seen many bartenders that I've gone into training who have bartended for many years and were trained, but unfortunately, one problem becomes another problem. It gets trained to another person, and then it becomes code or law, or people think it's right. And, it just perpetuates itself. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but even if they have been trained, normally it wasn't right. But now people are starting to care about the profession so much that it's literally lifting itself up on so many different levels, which is great.
Right. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny too, because I catch myself and my wife, we do the same thing. Like now, whenever we go out to dinner someplace, or we'll go to a local bar to grab a couple of drinks, we both catch ourselves doing the same thing. It's like we're now the John Taffer, and we're just like, no, there's something wrong with the beer. It's not cold enough, or the drink's not right, or we're rating each other. We're like, John Taffer would have a freaking, he would go nuts on these people, and we're just picturing that whole scene, and it's just funny. I'm sure a lot of people do that now.
Oh yeah. I mean, I get the Facebook tags oh, this is a warm beer, and give me a picture of it, and I'm like, I appreciate it. But sometimes I'm also the guy that I in order for me to enjoy bars, I learned how I have to turn it off myself. You know?
Right.
So sometimes you just got to learn to turn it off and enjoy it. Otherwise, you're not going to enjoy a lot of bars.
Right. Now, do a lot of the people you've helped keep in touch with you, or?
Yeah. And have some really great relationships with some of them. Some of them you walk away from, and it just just wasn't a great riff that you feel connected to them.
Right.
As much, but you still try to help them out, and some of them you just feel like family to, one of those people for me is the Bryant's Ice House guys. Turning to Wildcatters, Jeff and Sully. They're just such great people that I talk to them quite often. Gone back and visited them, and some revamped stuff that was seasonal. And really just love those people.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, because we had on. Christ, it was probably over 2 years ago when we ran in the early days of our show. Which I think you're working with him now, and that's another alumni from the show, Brian Duffy.
Yes, sir. Duffy and I pretty much hit it off on the show and have been trying to figure out ways to work with each other for a long time, and kind of let it happen organically, which is nice.
Nice.
And we're doing a podcast. What's that?
Oh, you're doing a podcast now?
Yeah. Him and I are doing a podcast together. We're doing a podcast called Road Rash. Releases on January 1st, and we are also releasing an online comic book with it as well.
Nice.
Yeah. It's basically us and some of our guests are basically any kind of public figures or people in the culinary industry or whoever we just think are interesting that want to come talk eating and drinking and traveling with us, because that's what we do.
Awesome. Very awesome. Yeah, actually, Duffy's out here in my neck of the woods. He's not far from me.
Yeah. You're up there in Philly.
Yeah. I'm in the suburbs of Philly, yeah.
He's a hardcore Philly man. He's all over the place. Yep. Although he's on the road so much, too, that I think he gets to miss home a lot.
I can imagine. Now, do you get that too? Are you out traveling around a lot too, helping places?
Yeah. Well, if I'm not on project or if I'm not filming something, I am literally off the grid. So I was on the road 52 weeks out of the year now. Had to put everything in storage just because I was just tired of trying to come back to a place. And now in between everything, I've got another project that I'm trying to do, which is basically researching and cataloging all of the obscure drinking culture in the world before we lose it. So for the past 4.5 months, I've been backpacking through Central America, from Mexico all the way through to Costa Rica, literally just researching obscure drinking culture off the grid in the middle of nowhere where people can't find it. So,
wow.
Yeah. It's very much a passion to me. Everything that I do here, it's very much a passion. So even when I'm off, I can't turn it off.
Oh, I feel that pain, believe me. Oh. So
I'm gonna have to write that one down.
That is a good one. That is that's what the hashtag truth right there. Just put that out there. Now, again, whether it's as you were being part of the show or as you're helping on your own independently, what do you feel is like the number one problem when you walk into these bars?
Turn down the damn lights a little bit.
Really?
Seriously. Right off the bat, what I see a lot of bars do is just having the lights so bright. And to me, it's the easiest thing right off the bat to turn down the lights. There's many different levels to it. First, it was literally the first thing that draws any attention is light. and I see all these places have these very, very bright lights. When people come into bars and restaurants and really just want to stay a while, you got to turn down the lights. a lot, or or at least to a level where it's it makes an environment or atmosphere that you're wanting. And there's many different things about this that make it great. Also, let's say it covers up some of the impurities that might be happening in the construction of the bar. It might be hiding a piece of dirt that the customer otherwise wouldn't see that maybe you missed, and it just makes it a much more relaxing atmosphere. And then also, just from a cost standpoint, you're going to save on your electric bill. So to me, it's like the number. If it's the number one thing that I say to almost everybody, and I just think it's such an easy concept to understand.
Yeah, that is pretty easy. How about it? It seems to me like from what I see on the show, it seems almost like more problems besides whether it's with their bartenders, the drinks, or the food or whatever, is there's so much internal problems, and it seems like with owners not getting along, whether they're family or friends, it seems like the internal problems just end up becoming a cancer and destroying the whole business.
Yeah, I have this term I've been kind of playing around with, and it's find the refrigerator. So I was working on this project where there was a bunch of these little internal problems going. There was this one problem had a person with another problem had a person with the scheduling, and because the scheduling had to be done this way because the ordering was off, and blah 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 blah, and the problems came down to one real problem, and it was they had this broken refrigerator that couldn't keep a certain degrees, so they couldn't keep a certain amount of stuff in stock at a time, and had to do double ordering, so double scheduling, and literally putting these two guys into a position where they were at like each other's throats, and they were looking at all these other things as being problems, but they were only symptoms to one problem, and it was the refrigerator. So when I go into a place in my own head now, I'm literally thinking to myself, find refrigerator.
Oh. How many times do you end up just walking out of a place and just shaking your head like, what did I get myself into?
Oh, I mean, there's always that at first. 100%. Whether it's even a good thing. Sometimes it's so good that you walk out and you go, okay, this is so good that it's too much going on that should be done. What did I just get myself into? I don't have the time to do all this, But yeah, so I mean, there's always that point of stepping off the cliff and wondering what you got yourself into. But it's how you handle yourself after you stepped off that cliff, who you let know, that you're questioning yourself on what yourself got into, which 9 times out of 10, I let no one know I'm questioning that. But yeah, I mean, it 100% of the time happens.
Wow. Sometimes you feel more like a therapist than an actual consultant.
Not so much anymore. I've gotten to the point where, yes, sometimes, but a little bit less now because, one of the things the show has given me too is the empowerment of be able to be like, guys, I'm literally just not going to waste my time with this.
Right.
This is the problem. Figure your shit out. Call me back when you got that done. But I don't have the time to sit here and wade through all this bullshit. So it's been great because people do understand that I'm just not going to deal with it, and they try to straighten that kind of stuff up real quick.
Awesome.
Yeah,
now,
but
what
I've had to
is
deal with that a lot lately. So.
You haven't had to deal with that a lot?
No,
lately?
No, not
good.
Yeah, it seems like just in general, the general just temperature of the industry is just getting better. It's great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, what is your favorite drink to make?
Whatever you want, my friend.
How about that?
Such a bartender answer, wasn't it? I mean,
okay.
it's seriously true though. I never had a favorite. You know, I mean, there's certain points in my life that I had favorites at that point. Maybe because I was really into them at the minute, or I was learning a new technique or something. But stepping back, I've never had a favorite that I wanted to make, and I never had a favorite that I wanted to drink. I'm kind of moody that way.
Really?
Yeah, very much so. I think that was, what was always great too, is that you never know when I'm walking in what I'm going to be drinking, and you never know when I'm walking in, when you're walking in, what I'm going to give you.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how about the fire, doing the whole blowing the fire thing?
Yeah.
Is that like your most requested thing?
Yeah, it is. And now I just don't do it too much. I won't do it too much, just because when I do it, I want to do it in very safe certain situations, and I understand the gravity of people seeing someone just blow fire and not realizing that there's like a lot more technique to it that needs to be learned. So I try to keep it down to a little bit of a minimum, but it definitely was that thing that separated me. So, I definitely will always have that fire inside of me. And don't get me wrong, there's times these days where I'm like looking at this bar and people are cheering on and want me to get back there, and I'm like, all I want to do is just run back there and blow the biggest damn flame I possibly can. But I have to say to myself, hey, Russell, calm yourself. But yeah, I used to work at these, fire bars in Austin. Incidentally, it was the first real trick I learned besides the cocktail tricks. And, I burnt my face completely off a couple of times doing it stupid, and then learned how to do it right. It kind of separated me because it was this very much wild side of bartending, and you're lighting stuff on fire, and you know how to control it, and you know how to, like, how long it's going to be on your skin, on certain parts of your body before it burn, how to read the air and the energy of the room just in case you want to do it. It's very, very much a science, but we would blow flaming Dr. Peppers in Austin, Texas at this bar called Touche, probably about 9 or 10 times a night. To the point where I go home and look at myself in the mirror and peel the inside layer of skin out of my mouth. And I just carried that over, when I got moved over to San Francisco and we were working at this Rick House. I was the guy at this mixology bar, the fancy mixology bar, that was just blowing fire for the crowd every now and then and trying to set off the fire alarm. They loved it. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Now, how about, too, like, and this has really blown up in the last few years, like, what's your thoughts and feelings, like, on the whole situation of just all the different crazy flavors of your vodkas and rums and everything nowadays? You walk into a liquor store, it's like you have a freaking buffet anymore. It's insane.
Yeah, I think it's climaxed. I think that you'll start seeing these flavors die back. Like you'll start seeing even flavors that have been released be pulled back. And I think that you're going to see not so many flavors, but a lot more craft stuff. You've already starting to see it, but I think you're going to see it even more to the point where craft stuff is making it to a better price point.
Right.
It's going to, and there's only a certain number of spots on those shelves. Just like the back bar shelf of any bar, every spot is very valuable. There's only a certain amount of shelves out there, and it's going to have these craft, well-priced items are going to have to take over somewhere. And I think it's going to be those vodka flavors, and it's going to be those things that are using chemicals to actually make the flavors happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it's crazy. Like it's just too much. You don't know what the hell to get anymore.
And it's the worst hangover in the world.
Now, how about like same thing with all the beers too. Like I'm not into all the craziness of the beers. Like I'm just a very basic, give me a Coors Light and I'm happy guy. But the big thing as of late, probably in the last 6 months, is Not Your Father's root beer.
Yeah, huge. Just took over the market.
Yeah, in which I had one tonight with dinner. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
but now they came out with Not Your Father's ginger ale.
Yeah. I haven't actually tasted that one yet.
I had one last week for the first time, and I wasn't too crazy about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much that will take off. I mean, it'll sell, but I don't think that anything. Well, I mean, don't mark my words on this because I haven't done a lot of studying on this part of the market, but I think that staple root beer is going to be. I mean, how can they really top that? It's kind of like the Fireball of its branding, of its brand category. And so it's just, and it's amazing. I think it's interesting because the American palate is really ready to make root beer a huge thing in any way. I mean, it's always been a huge thing, but not like to the point where everybody, some people will be like, oh, ew, root beer. But yeah, it's a lot of people don't realize root beer is a very, very classic ingredient that comes back from the 12th century with some of these things that monks were putting together. It's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, too. So.
Huh.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it used to be called dandelion and burdock beer.
Huh. Okay. That's
I know a lot about root beer. I actually created a root beer at Ice Cream Bar and Soda Fountain in San Francisco. I studied root beer up and down.
I'll tell you what, that was a big favorite drink of mine for a while. I was mixing root beer vodka and diet root beer soda. And that was my drink for a long. I had to wean myself off it. It was getting out of control.
I was a huge root beer float guy, so I had to create the best root beer float ever. It was one project, and I just knocked it out of the ballpark. I was looking up old ice cream soda fountain recipes from the 1890s to make sure the scoops were just perfect and everything was down to technique, and then handcrafted this cold brewed root beer with 17 ingredients and with real sassafras too. So this is interesting if you want to kind of dig into this, is that root beer is not really true root beer historically because it doesn't have sassafras in it. Sassafras is not well, maybe it does have sassafras, but it's been de-alkalized, so the saffrol's not in it. But true root beer historically would have had sassafras with saffrol in it, but saffrol is technically, by FDA standards, carcinogenic. But chemically, it's less carcinogenic than cinnamon. It just got caught up in some scandals in the 1950s. Yeah. I cannot ever turn it off, my friend. I just can't turn it off.
Here's one for you. Now, I'm a big hard rock, metal type of guy, music-wise, and something that's really become a dying breed lately, especially I know in the Philly area and a lot of bands that we talk to, we get the same story that it's going on around the country, even out in places like L.A., New York, and that's your rock clubs. What do you think is the big problem?
What? I'm sorry?
The rock clubs?
Oh, the rock clubs. Okay, yeah.
What do you think the problem is there? What's that?
What do you mean?
They're just not staying open. They'll open up and they'll be there. If you get a year out of them, you're lucky. I mean, that's what's going on here in Philly, at least. And a lot of people say a lot of
that's interesting. It's interesting because I've seen some rock clubs that are starting to kind of get their own revamps. And I can't remember right now, my mind's blanking, but it's interesting. I feel like I've seen, specifically in New Orleans and San Francisco, these old grungy rock dive bars that have, a set of them is owned by Johnny Davis in San Francisco, that are still just these really cool places of existence. Maybe they're islands because there's so many others closing down that are so busy. But some of them have even started like bringing in like some like mixology stuff. You know, like being a crazy great rock bar, but still doing a good old fashioned, but just not making a big deal about it. You know.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that they're just, you know, I mean, it got oversaturated, so that was a problem. But if anything, I think are the ones that will stay out and really live this out. They'll be so unique that you'll have those legends again. And you're talking about like the CBGB type of clubs and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like you still have like out in LA. I guess what's it, the Whiskey? I mean, that's still around.
Yeah.
It seems like the hot club across the country is the one in Vegas, is Vamped, is the hot rock club now.
Yeah. It's like the places that you feel like you should be like passed out in the bathroom with a needle sticking out of your arm in.
You don't have to go that far, but
no, I mean, not me specifically, but I always get that image, like, if I was going to do heroin, this would be something, this is what it's like in the movies, you know?
Now, you have your, I guess your own, is it like a consulting company, Unlimited Liability?
Yeah. Unlimited Liability is a night lifestyle brand that I'm starting that the first real push for it is through the consulting of bars. But you're going to start seeing some things launching underneath this brand in the next year that are going to go well beyond just consulting on bars, but as far as into the entertainment industry, into some production work, and really try to, you know, show you what's cool out there in night lifestyle. You know, if we can build and produce the best bars for you, you know, we're going to show you what's cool.
Cool. Now, how about like opening your own bar? Was there ever any idea or thoughts of that, or?
Yeah, I mean, for the first few years of my career, I mean that's kind of like every bartender's dream, is to open up their own spot.
Sure.
And then after many years of seeing a lot of unhappy owners, I realized, oh man, this is just not for me. You know, and on top of it all, I started developing that you know, attitude of this brick and mortar, being married to a location with all this liability is not me. You know, it's for some people, but it's just not for me. So I figured I was going to take my set of skills and apply it in a different way and be the guy that if you were opening a bar, that would come in and make sure and help you to do it right to the best of our abilities. And that there was money in that. And you know, with the right people, I try to help out. Now I will become somewhat of a partner with them. You know, where I'll take a percentage of a gross, you know, revenue stream, whether it be beverage or something like that, and literally wrap my arm around them and try to make it work, and not make it work. I always try to make it work, but make a partnership where it's a relationship that's more than just consulting or being in and out. You know, I always try to be a big brother to any client, but this is more of a enveloped relationship. You know. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, you know, it kind of got birthed out of the idea that, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but after you know the show happened, I would have a lot of bars contacting me, just begging me for help, and
Sure.
It's hard to explain to people that, you know, look, you know, I want to help you, but you know, I can't, the people that generally need your help can afford you. And I was just racking my brain of how could I make this work. You know, I wouldn't be able to make a living or pay for my team members and everybody if I took all these jobs for free.
Right.
So we worked out a way that we can, you know, take a percentage of these certain revenue streams and do a royalty situation on certain, you know, cocktails or something and make it work and bring my team in and create a revamped bar. And a lot of people also don't know is that I you know, I'm actually more of a specialist in making great bars more amazing. But I had to figure out a way to help these people out that can't help themselves. And sometimes it's a simple of me and my team coming in and just revamping the menu, retraining the staff, talking to them about rebranding or reinventing their week of events, and announcing that we're coming on board and we can get some ball rolling on some income for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, how long have you been? That's all falling under the unlimited liabilities?
Yeah, that's all under limited liabilities. Yeah.
Now, how long have you been doing that for?
I've been consulting ever since I won Bartender of the Year. So,
oh wow, okay.
Like literally the moment I was in the middle of opening up my project, my first major project, as I won Bartender of the Year. So I completed that project, and it got some great attention, and it gave me that slingshot with Bartender of the Year to just go full-time consulting. So I've been consulting since then, 2012, but Unlimited Liabilities as a brand has been operating just for the past year and a half, 2 years, but only because it's like consulting's formed into that.
Right. Cool. Very, very cool.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I have a wild life, man.
It sounds like it, man. It sounds like are you like a total vampire? Like, are you just like totally nightlife and sleep all day?
No. I used to be. When I was working in bars, I used to be. Now I have so much business going on in different parts of the world that I feel like my life is more of a series of intermittent naps. So I sleep when I can get it. So it's I'm all over the place. I'll be up at 5 a.m. to start my day and go into the day, or I will be waking up, taking a nap and waking up at 7 p.m. to have a conversation with another country in Europe. It's just all over the place. And
so you're doing business
much,
over. You're doing business overseas then too.
Oh yeah. I got some projects going on that will be launching that I think will be very interesting for many people. So definitely expanding into this international horizon.
Wow, that's really awesome.
Thanks. It's just trying to. You only got one shot at this thing, and when I say I didn't realize the gravity of what being a successful bartender is, I think a big part of that is showing people what you can do with this career, and no matter what outside the box thinking it is. So some of the stuff that I'm going to be launching, it's so outside of the box that I don't think people would ever, be like, what, a bartender's doing this? And then, if you look at it, it'll start making sense. Nice.
So you got all that, and then you're going to be doing the podcast. When does the podcast start with Duffy?
Yeah, January 1st is the launch. So we've been recording all the stuff. We've partnered up with a great company called Relax Just Create, who's been helping us with our brand and help producing this stuff. It's been absolutely amazing, and have amazing artists, and it's Doug Egliardi, who's just literally killing it for us on the comic book end. And it's just everything's coming together really, really, really nicely on that. Almost too easy, but a lot of that's because Relax Just Create's been so great with us.
Now, where do we find that at?
What's that? The podcast?
Uh-huh.
If you go to @RoadRashPod on Twitter or Instagram, you can find all of the links to everything. You can see some of the new art and the new branding. We just released the teaser on iTunes, so all the connections are on there. And January 1st, we're dropping it like the bomb.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun conceptualizing it.
This is very cool. I'm excited for you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. That.
Don't be a rash hole. I love it.
Yeah, I didn't. When our partner said that, the rash hole line, it was like, oh, that's you know gold when you hear it,
Absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. Too funny. Well, this has been awesome, man. I'm glad we finally hooked up.
I am too. This has been I really appreciate it. Sorry again, but also really appreciate you digging into what I love to do. It's my passion. I can talk your ear off with it, but I really appreciate you listening.
Absolutely. Here, and I'm going to tell you a drink I created. One of my favorite drinks is Rockstar energy drink. I drink the plain white can.
Hell out of Rockstar.
Yeah. I drink the plain white can, sugar-free Rockstar. Well, I started mixing that with dude-flavored vodka. And I call it the Dude Star.
No offense, that sounds like the worst cocktail ever. I'm just kidding.
I'll tell you what, it tastes like a Mountain Dew on steroids.
Actually, I can't say anything about that because I still love Rockstar, but I drink the black cans.
Okay,
that's my thing. Yeah, I probably drink the black cans more because it's colored black than the actual fact I like the flavor more. I haven't mixed it with alcohol in a while. You know, that became a really weird thing for bars because you know the factor of what it goes to your body, and so they started laying off. That's why you don't see a lot of Jaeger bomb specials advertised anymore.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah. The Dude Star.
The Dude Star.
You got to write that one up, and I'll post it.
There you go. You got to drink it too. You mix one up for yourself and drink it.
Okay. You can't just drop it in and chug it.
Nah, dude, I would make up like a 32. I would get like a 32-ounce cup. You know, and I'd fill like a quarter of it with vodka and the rest with Rockstar. I'd be good to go for the night.
Man. God bless you, man. God bless you.
Absolutely.
You know, I actually love that too. I mean, in a day of drinking has become just as pretentious as it used to be fun. I love that, you know, there's this mix of pretentiousness and fun that's going on and it's becoming its own, and that balance in the world, I love that it still exists. So if you ever stepped in my bar and ordered that from me, I would try my best to find that white can of Rockstar.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, hey, if you come out to Philly to hang out with Duffy, man, we got to hook up.
Oh, absolutely. No questions asked there, my friend.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, he might not survive it.
Probably not. I'm like a lightweight now. I don't drink or nothing hardly anymore. I drink one drink a day anymore. I used to like.
There's liters of Rockstar and 3 olives, dude.
You know what? I haven't drank one of them in a while either. I've been just drinking like one
when
beer.
When I get to Philly.
Okay.
Yeah, when I get to Philly, we're doing it.
All right, not a problem there.
What did you say though? You would drink one beer now?
I drink like one beer a night with dinner. Like I'm a guy who used to drink a case of beer a day. Now I'm down to like one beer and I'm happy.
Is that one beer Coors Light?
It could be Coors Light. Tonight was Not Your Father's Root Beer, or I also have in my fridge the AC/DC German beer.
Oh, I haven't tried that.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I have to check that out. I haven't even heard of it.
Yeah. It's called Rock or Bust, AC/DC's beer. It's in my local supermarket. So
it's got to have the back and black label, right?
It's a black label. Yes, it is.
Good.
Looks almost like a Rockstar can.
Yeah, it's one of those like brands you can almost like see, like just you saying it. I almost feel like I can see the bottle exactly what it would look like without ever having actually seen it.
And then there's also the which I can't find anymore. I'm kind of pissed. The Iron Maiden beer.
Is this a thing that all the rock bands are doing now?
Seems like
have I just missed this?
It seems like they're all doing it. Yeah. And Motorhead just came out with one too. I haven't seen theirs yet though.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them that have been doing lines, but not necessarily the rock band, just the rock stars individually. Marilyn Manson had his own absinthe, Mansist, which actually won some awards and was pretty damn good.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So there's actually quite a few of these guys going on, but just hadn't seen the whole brand wrapped around it. It's pretty interesting. Now you got me, like, thinking in my head which bands need to do it, you know? I mean, God, I wish Pink Floyd was still around.
See, now you'll be calling these people up and telling them, hey, look, I'll help you get your own brand of beer off the ground.
I'll literally be able to, like, drink with my favorite bands ever. Yeah, I'm an old rock guy. I'm not old rock guy, but I love older rock. You know, I was the guy in high school that was listening to stuff that my parents listened to, and all my friends made fun of me. So.
That's awesome. There you go. I'm just sending you now pictures of the beer cans because I have them hanging on display.
That's amazing, actually.
Cool. So, all right. So, where can everybody find you and get hold of you, and if they need your help and want to go into business with you?
You bet. You cannot find me. I'm elusive. You can get me at Twitter's usually the best way to come at me. You know, it's so easy. It's so much fun. To tell you the truth, you know, I kind of pay a lot of attention to it. But Twitter is at Mr. Russell Davis, and my name is 2 S's, 2 L's. Everybody always spells that. You can find me at Facebook at Mixologist Russell Davis, and also Instagram, Mr. Russell Davis. Check out the Road Rash pod, though, because we're excited about this, and Brian and I are literally just ready to ramp this thing up and get this baby out.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm excited.
Me too, man.
Awesome. Well, Russ, this has been freaking awesome.
No, thank you, man. The pleasure is all mine. Hey, I really appreciate it. Honored that you would even want to talk to me, my friend.
Stop it. Come on. I always enjoyed you on the show, and hey, you know, we're friends now, and can't wait to be able to drink together.
Yeah, some dude stars in Philly. Happening
there you go. And we'll have Duffy make us burgers.
Dude stars and stuff.
There you go. That's a winning combination right there.
Oh God, it almost sounds like some kind of hipster bar. I think we just invented a brand. That's a franchisable concept right there.
Count me in. Let's do it. Come on.
Well, thank you so much again, man. I can't tell you enough. I appreciate it, man.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Good luck with everything, and hey, you know, we'll be in touch, and when you're ready to promote some more stuff, we'll get you back on in 2016.
Boom. Rock and roll, man. Thanks again, brother.
You got it, man. You too. Have a good holidays. All right, there he goes. Mr. Russell Davis. A lot of exciting things happening. I want to see how they're going to do. They're going to do their own podcast combined with a comic book. That should be pretty freaking wild.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I'm like really curious to see this comic book then.
So we could steal the idea.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go wake my daughter up now and tell her to start drawing us his comic books.
Yep.
You know what? I just actually set up my daughter's store tonight for her artwork.
Oh, really?
Yeah, set it up on Store Envy. It's on her Facebook page, but now we got to start loading the prints on there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's exciting.